This is the voice of the Report of the Week, signing on. Well, here we are. The semi-awaited, I don't want to say long-awaited, but, I promoted it a little while back. The mid-October broadcast. I wanted to do this show for a couple reasons, because I know lately I've been doing, 2 shows a month, perhaps. Though October will be slightly busier, with, the grand total of perhaps 3. Would you believe that? 3 whole shows. You probably are going to get a couple extra broadcasts this month, though, which is fine by me, and I hope you're fine with it as well. But I wanted to do this show. It's probably going to be a little shorter than the others, which is fine. We have some letters to read, but really I don't have much original discussion of my own. Although the main reason why I wanted to do this show is to promote 2 very important things that are coming up. And then, as always, we will open up the mailbag and we will see what awaits us, right? So, first and foremost, coming up October 24th. Now, those of you who follow the broadcast closely may remember this from August and July. Usually it's July and August, but I remembered the one in August first, so there's that. But during those 2 months, I did 2 special broadcasts, purely for the fun of it. There was no occasion, there was no reason. It's honestly just for the fun of it. That's why. But I did 2 special broadcasts for listeners in Europe, where I had this great big 300 kilowatt shortwave transmitter in Austria, and I broadcast my show on the shortwave for listeners in Europe. It reached other parts of the world too, and listeners without radios who were able to tune in online. Now, maybe you remember that, but obviously the costs were very prohibitive, because that sort of airtime does not come cheap. But I was very glad I was able to do that, again, in August and in July. Now, there was not a broadcast like that in September, and that was because of availability issues. It just wasn't able to happen. And seeing that there were some concerns extending into October as well, but the demand was still there. I was still getting emails from listeners all over saying, are you going to do another one? Are you going to do another broadcast? Can I get a schedule for the next special broadcast you're going to be doing? I thought to myself, well, even though I'd largely been doing it from the same station, it doesn't mean that's all that I ever have to use. Back in 2016 and 2017, when I did these special broadcasts, I kind of hopped around from one station to the next, and I used whatever transmission provider I wanted to. There were times where I used a station in Germany, then there was one time I used a station in Armenia, one time I used a station in Uzbekistan, etc. So why limit myself to this one station, right? That's silly. So I started looking around, and I got in contact with the management at WWCR, a shortwave station in Nashville. They're a station that I have a very good relationship with. I like them a lot. They're a good broadcaster, and I have my show weekly on them already. They are responsible for the broadcasts on 6115 kilohertz every Saturday. And they also are responsible for the late-night tune-in broadcast and the AM radio broadcast in Nashville. So you could thank them for those broadcasts, honestly. All sent out via their facilities, and they do a good job, too. And I've worked with them and I've also worked with them for special broadcasts around Christmas time of 2018 and 2019, so I thought, well, let's see. I know they have some frequencies beamed over toward Europe. It would be a pleasure if I could broadcast with them to do this next special transmission, because as a result, because they are based in the United States, not only will they get the signal over to listeners in Europe, the Middle East, North Africa, and beyond, but the broadcast will also be audible in parts of the United States, which is the one thing that the other broadcasts could not be. The other broadcasts could not be picked up in the U.S., but if I use WWCR, listeners in North and South America even can tune in as well. So I shot them an email, and they said, all right, let's check the availabilities, and sure enough, on Saturday, October 24th, they said, the good news for you, we don't just have one opening to Europe, but we have two, and if this is something that you're interested in, this is totally possible. So I said, absolutely, let's do this. So there's going to be 2 special broadcasts to Europe on Saturday, October 24th. Again, the reason why I'm doing them is purely for the fun of it. And honestly, I just think that there's so much going on in this world right now. So much... all I'll say is there's so many things that will cause great anxiety. Things even over here in the United States are just so, with the election looming, very, very tense. And the whole purpose of this broadcast is really just going to be to have some fun. To have some fun, a place where you can go and just unwind, and even if it's just for an hour, distract oneself from all the stuff going on in this crazy world of ours. And it's not going to be any in-your-face stuff. It's just going to be a fun place for some lighthearted discussion and some music. There's nothing wrong with that. We're going to be broadcasting direct on the shortwave, again beamed over to listeners in Europe, but because the transmitter is in the US, it should also be picked up by listeners across the US, Canada, Mexico. Not guaranteed, but it's certainly, there's a good chance. And then the broadcast is also going to be streamed on TuneIn, courtesy of WWCR. So if you don't have a radio, or if the conditions are bad, then you can listen very, very clearly online as well. So don't worry, we've got all your bases covered here. It's going to be a lot of fun. I will be taking music requests as well, like I do in the other shows, but it's just a special one. I'm really going to promote it, and I just think it's going to be a lot of fun. So I'll be taking music requests, and it's just going to be an hour that you could just listen to and hopefully have a good time. That's the ultimate goal of this broadcast, whether you listen in online or over the airwaves. So understanding what the broadcast is exactly, let's get into how you can listen, right? You need the frequencies, you need the times, and of course you need also the way you can access the TuneIn streams. So here's how you can listen. The first broadcast is going to be on the frequency of 15.825 kilohertz. That's 15.825, 15.825 megahertz if your radio is expressed in that way instead. But 15.825, okay? It will be airing at the time of 7 a.m. Eastern on Saturday, October 24th. 7 a.m. Eastern, so that'll be for listeners, say, in New York City. Now, listeners in the target area of Europe, that would be 12 p.m. BST if you're in London, 1 p.m. Central European Standard Time if you're in Berlin, let's say, 2 p.m. MSK for our listeners in Moscow, and then if the signal reaches to South Asia, 4:30 p.m. IST for listeners in New Delhi, India. And also, let's say if you're on the west coast of the U.S., that'll be 4 a.m. Pacific Time if you're in Los Angeles. And, of course, if you're in Nashville, that'll be 6 a.m. Central. So those are the time zones. Again, if you're listening in on the radio, 15.825 kilohertz. Now, if you want to listen in on TuneIn, the way to listen is extremely easy. Just look at the time. We have it there. I'll have it in writing as well. The description of this broadcast, be that on YouTube or on any podcast platform, there will be the direct link to the TuneIn stream, and it's as easy as humanly possible. What do? You say, oh, it's 7 a.m. Eastern. All right, let's listen in on TuneIn. If, you don't have a radio, or if you pull it out and you're just not getting the signal, then you just say, oh, okay, it's 7 a.m. All right, let's click on this. That's it. The audio is just going to stream right there. So it's that easy. You literally just click on the TuneIn stream, and the audio will start automatically. It's effortless, and that's exactly the way I want it, because I just want it as easy as it can possibly be. Now, if for some reason you lose track of the TuneIn link, and again, I will plaster it everywhere. It's going to be in the description of this video. It's going to be in the description of the podcast on all the platforms. I'm probably going to do a separate video just promoting this broadcast. It's going to be in the description and the pinned comment of that one. I'm going to post it on Twitter. I'm going to post it on the community tabs of both channels before the broadcast airs, probably about 1 hour before it airs. I'm going to post it on Reddit. I'm going to post it on Patreon. I'm going to post it on Instagram. I'm literally going to make it to the extent where it's splattered around so much you really can't miss it. And that's on purpose. But if somehow you do miss it, you could just remember this. All you need to do is Google WWCR1, that's the number 1, TuneIn, and you'll find it there. The reason why, because I already explained WWCR, that's the call sign of the station I'm going to be on, but what's the number 1? It's because WWCR has 4 transmitters, so they're just named, WWCR 1, 2, 3, and 4. So as you could tell, I'm on transmitter number 1 this time around. But it's as easy as that. Just remember, it'll be on TuneIn at all those times, and 15825 kilohertz on the shortwave. And now the second broadcast is going to be airing later in the day. So, if you're in the US and it's like, oh, I'm going to be sleeping in, well, this is good news for you. The next broadcast will air on Saturday, October 24th at 3 p.m. Eastern on the frequency of 13845 kilohertz. That's 13845 kilohertz, 13.845 megahertz. It will be broadcast at the time of 3 p.m. Eastern if you're in New York City. For listeners in the target area in Europe, that'll be 8 p.m. BST, 9 p.m. Central European Standard Time, 10 p.m. MSK, 12:30 a.m. IST if you're in South Asia. And for listeners in North America, again, 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, 12 p.m. Pacific. So, remember, it'll be there. I will also post, and it's a different TuneIn link, but again, I'm going to do all the legwork. I'm going to post it far and wide. And I will get it out there as well. But again, if you are interested, the second broadcast is WWCR 3. Okay? So remember, the first one, this is very easy. The first broadcast 1, transmitter 1, WWCR 1. The second broadcast, WWCR 3, 3 p.m. Eastern, WWCR 3, TuneIn, and you'll find it there. But again, I will post that other link far and wide. But it'll be interesting. Should be a lot of fun either way. Hopefully you'll be able to listen in on the radio if you have one. And like I'm saying, definitely try it out. I would be willing to bet that the first broadcast, because it's a higher frequency, you probably won't pick it up if you are in the west coast of the U.S. It might just skip over the U.S. entirely, but I would definitely say for North America, the best chance of hearing 15825 would be if you are located in probably the Northeast, so, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, especially the further you go, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, you might pick it up better over there. And then if you're in the Canadian Maritimes, you should probably you should be able to receive that, especially if you're in Newfoundland. Definitely, it'll probably be blasting in over there. So that's what it's looking like. And then listeners across Europe should be able to get it. The second shortwave broadcast, I would say anywhere in Europe, definitely try it out. And really anywhere in North America also, just give it a shot. There's a chance you might be able to pick it up again pretty clearly across the northeastern U.S., but the signal should also be listenable really across the Great Plains, even on the West Coast. Anywhere, just give it a shot, I would say, for the second one, because at that time the conditions would be a bit more favorable for reception in North America, and they should still be good in Europe as well. And honestly, this is like one of those things where I really don't know what the coverage is totally going to be like, so my advice to you is have the tune-in ready, but just, if you have a radio, pull it out, dial in the frequencies, and just give it a shot, What's there to lose? It's just something fun to do. So, that's my reception advice. Look, that's the first thing that I just wanted to promote. I just hope you could tune in, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Only thing that I do ask is that if you do listen in, I have no analytics or statistics for these broadcasts. Really, shortwave radio is truly anonymous, and that's one of the things I love about it. But if you do want to tune in, and it's up to you, honestly, it's really up to you, but it would be appreciated if you do listen to the broadcast. Just send in a short email, just let me know you listened, program feedback, comments. If you tune in on the radio, let me know how reception was, and music requests too. You can send in a music request either before or during the broadcast, but it would just be great to know that you're out there listening, and just let me know where you're listening from. You don't have to even be overly specific, but, omit or include whatever you want. That's at your discretion. But it's just important to know where the signal's reaching and just who's listening in, honestly. So if you do tune in, just send in a short email, or it could be long, it's up to you, to VORWINFO@gmail.com. That's VORWINFO@gmail.com. So again, that's the full promotion. I'll probably do another video of this, just, in kind of more abridged video form, just saying, hey, I'm doing this. You could listen here, and here, but this is just the full story because, here at the mic we can get a little more long-winded, comfortably so. That's the whole reason why I do this, honestly, to just prattle on for as long as I want to. Okay, we did that. That's the important stuff, because it's time-sensitive, more so than this next thing is, which is also time-sensitive, but, this is coming up first. So I just wanted to get that out and let you all know. I hope you could tune in, and I hope it's going to be a lot of fun. Okay, secondly, coming up on October 31st, that's Halloween. I said this in the last show, but now I am formally opening up the doors for any submissions here. I did this last year, and I decided I'm going to do it again because, this wasn't something that I was going to do, actually. I just said, I'll just let Halloween be, Halloween's canceled this year. But then I started getting emails, even in September, and now as October is progressing, the number of emails has only continued to build, and the show I did do was a lot of fun, I have to tell you. And because the demand is there, people want to hear it, I'm fine doing it. It was a lot of fun last year, and I'm happy to do it again this year if a lot of people are interested in it, and it seems to be the case. So I'm more than happy to. I don't feel like I am stepping on anyone's toes here. And, I know Coast to Coast AM does something similar, but I don't think they have anything to worry about with with VORW here, kind of doing something a little similar. I don't think it's any big deal. It's fine. But on Halloween of last year, I did a special paranormal-themed broadcast. And what that was, it was just dedicated purely to listener correspondence, where we had a set topic, and what that was just focused on the paranormal. And we just had a couple hours where we read listener emails that just described their paranormal experiences, be that strange encounters, spooky stories, dealings with ghosts, the paranormal. This time around, I'm even going to open it up a little further. If you want to include anything about cryptids, you can do that too. Because why not, right? That stuff could be spooky too, and it's fun. So, largely paranormal, but if you're like, oh, damn, I don't have a ghost story, but I thought I saw a Bigfoot the other day or something, then include that too. That's fine. I will keep that open this time around. But largely, paranormal themed, just the paranormal in general. So, I'm going to do it again this year. It's going to be on Halloween, so get it in beforehand, because now this broadcast will be pre-recorded, and it will be uploaded for your listening pleasure on Halloween, so do not send in the story on Halloween, it'll be too late. I will record it as late as possible, but I would say send it in the sooner the better. If you hear this, and all of a sudden you realize, oh yeah, I could really share this, I would say, if you're feeling it, just type up the email or record your feedback and just send it in right now. But the sooner the better. But I will try to get whatever I can in. So here's how it works. If you have, again, a scary encounter, a ghost story, a piece of local legend or lore that you want to share, if it was something that happened to you or a friend, or any sort of encounter, again, dealing with the unexplained, the paranormal, ghosts, you name it. And it could deal, again, with cryptids, too. We're opening the door to that. It could be any way you want to share it. But you can submit it to the broadcast where it'll be shared. You can submit it in writing via email to VORWinfo@gmail.com. That's VORWinfo@gmail.com. Again, VORWinfo@gmail.com. Three times for good luck. You can submit it in writing. One thing I also encourage, and I don't do this often, but I am going to do it this time around, just because I want to, honestly. If you would rather enunciate your experience, and that's up to you. If you feel more comfortable just talking into the microphone and sharing a story instead of spending the time to type up several paragraphs, you can do that too. In that case, take out your phone, take out a microphone, or any device capable of recording audio, speak your mind, and then just send that audio file to me. Just send it as an attachment to an email, and again, email it off at VORWinfo@gmail.com. So, it really depends, but it would be nice to get some audio feedback as well. It'll kind of be like akin to taking callers, although not quite, but it would just be fun to hear some different voices on the air. So that's just what we're going to do, but it's going to be a mix. It's going to be a bit of everything. If you're looking for any inspiration, feel free to listen into the show from last year. But I really hope to get some varied feedback and experiences of all kinds shared for this show. And this is just what I say, and just remember this. It's something to consider. I know that it is a popular episode. I know a lot of people are already requesting it, and I really don't know how many people are going to listen to it, but it does seem like there is some demand for it. I think one misconception is I remember in late 2018 I did a New Year's predictions show. And I remember the first one that I did got a huge amount of responses, so much so that I think we probably just spent, 2-3 hours just going through all of them. When I did the 2019 follow-up, where I was going to do, predictions for the year 2020, I think a lot of people listening in knew that the show from 2018 had a lot of response and a lot of listens, and they were thinking, well, I have predictions, but I'm not going to bother because so many will come in and it's not going to get read, etc. So, as a result, so many people felt that way. I only got 3 emails of predictions despite promoting it, and the show really could not even materialize. I think I spent 10 minutes on it and that was it. And it was disappointing, but, now of course I wish there were predictions. Wouldn't that have been something? I mean, if with 2020 being the year that it would be, I wish there were more to see did any of them hold up, but instead there really wasn't anything. So, I say that as an example, because even though it might seem right now that, obviously, hundreds and hundreds of people are going to email in, I don't think that. There might only be 5 people that emailed, there might be 200, I don't know. So all I say is this: if there is something that you want to share, please email, and it would be great to have you as a part of this show. If you don't, then there's no way that it would ever get shared because there'd be nothing to share. So please consider it. It would be great to hear from you. It's always a joy to receive listener emails, one way or another. The broadcast will also be going out because it will be on a Saturday. Let's just verify. I don't want to get ahead of myself here. Let's check. Yeah, Saturday the 31st. So because it will be on a Saturday, at least the first hour of the broadcast will be syndicated on traditional AM radio. If you're in the state of Utah, you could actually listen in on AM radio on 540 AM KYAH. That's a station that carries this broadcast each and every Saturday from 12 to 1 p.m. Mountain Time. So if you're in Utah, then you can listen in, and if you write in or record something in, your voice might even be heard across the airwaves there, and I might also syndicate the first hour on the shortwave later in the evening, but I'm just finalizing that. So, I hope you can correspond. Again, any paranormal experiences or scary stories are welcome. VORWINFO@gmail.com. Write it, or record it, and send it in. It would be a pleasure to hear from you, and I think it's going to be a really fun show as well. So we have 2 enjoyable things planned, actually. One Saturday after the next. It's going to be great. On the 24th, we got the special radio broadcasts, and then on the 31st, we've got the paranormal show for Halloween. And of course, it's going to be on YouTube. It's going to be on every podcast platform. And also, again, the AM radio and maybe shortwave, too. We'll see. So, it will be heard far and wide. That's about all that we have for the show today. Really, this was more of an interim announcement broadcast as opposed to anything more, more concrete or solidified. But it's good to let everyone know what's going on, so we're all on the same page, and that's really what it comes down to. I was thinking as I started recording the show to maybe read a few emails, but I do really want to get this out, and I don't want to rush through anything. I really don't. Maybe before Halloween I'll do a short podcast where I'll just read some correspondence or something. I'm totally on board with that, so maybe I'll do that. But, aside from that, I just didn't want to rush through anything and just give a real improper answer, so to speak, because it's not fair to the people that write in otherwise. You're taking the time to correspond, and I just kind of lazily rush through it. That's not right. So, I think that'll be the plan for now, and we'll go from there. On a brief off-topic note, I guess, on 2 subjects, Number one, any shortwave listeners out there, just for the fun of it, I give a little update like this in every show. There are 2 new shortwave stations on the air. Both of them are low power, but you may still get them, depending on where you are. The locations are interesting, though. One new station is in Colombia, South America there. It's right on the border of Venezuela, and the signal is broadcast into Venezuela from Colombia, so it's for listeners in Venezuela. It's a Spanish station, mostly operates during the night, and it largely has religious programming, though I believe it does have some secular stuff as well. Spanish language, you can pick it up on 4940 kilohertz, I believe. The signal might be weak, but I was able to pick it up pretty good here in Florida, so that's one station to be on the lookout for. The second new station on the air is actually in Venezuela. It is actually right there in Venezuela. It is on the frequency of 6906 kilohertz. It's a 24-hour station, and it's the relay of an FM station in Venezuela that I suppose wants to improve their coverage and reach more of the country. And I guess enough people still listen to shortwave in Venezuela that they decided that would be the best way to go about it. So that's what they did. So it's mostly music. Apparently they've played English music and also Spanish stuff too, a little bit of everything. But the station is mostly in Spanish. This antenna, it looks like it's more directional, so the signal is mostly concentrated into Venezuela. So as a result, just because it's for domestic listeners there, it doesn't really get out as well. I really haven't picked it up at my location, maybe just an extremely weak trace of the signal, but, if you want to give it a try, go for it. If you have a really good setup, or if you're like in the Caribbean or northern South America, then maybe give it a shot. But that's the first thing, just 2 new stations. Good to see them serving Venezuela. And hopefully there are folks down there tuned in. No stations have gone off the air, so that's other piece of good news. And finally, on one last note, I wanted to just mention this very briefly, and I think it's pretty self-explanatory, but to me it's just worth saying every now and then. I know that 2020, it's been a very, unusual, very hectic, very crazy year. And I know we still have about 2.5 more months to go. Obviously, for everyone out there across the U.S., right, early November, it's going to be very, very interesting. And we will see what happens, who wins. But I just wanted to say this, because I know lots of things, it's just a really distracting time. And I don't know, I feel like it needs to be said. I hope everyone listening to this program right now understands how important a thing your individuality is. It's the person that makes you, you. It makes you what you are. I know none of us are perfect. We all have our flaws, we all have our issues, we all have things we want to improve upon in one way or another, and nothing is really set in stone. I know it might not be something we really think about much, because there's so much else going on, but it's just as important nonetheless. No matter what, keep an open mind, but stay true to yourself, and be the person that you want to be, no matter what. All I ask is that you try to be a decent human being, treat others with kindness, respect, dignity, and stay true to yourself. Again, be the person that you want to be. As cliched a phrase as it is, there is a lot of truth to it, I feel. Just be yourself. And with that, dear listeners, that is all that I have for you today. Again, I hope you could tune into the special broadcast this Saturday, and I hope you could participate in the Halloween show as well, coming up the week after this one. Until we meet again, please be safe wherever you are, be healthy, and do take care. This is VORW Radio International.